Hey y'all, today I'm doing a little comparison of different insert bushings available for trucks that use insert bushings. Some that come to mind are the Slalom Rogues, the Don't Trip downhill Sibens, actually a lot of the trucks in the Don't Trip lineup. I've gathered up a bunch of the different options available. We're going to run through them. So I have the WFB 93A insert that comes stock on the downhill Sibens, and then I purchased the 96A WFB insert, and you may recognize this color of urethane. It's the same one used in the majority of Riptide's pivot cups. And then we have the 93A Krank insert from Riptide. And the last offering from Riptide is this 96A APS. Now that's not all. I also got some of the Venom inserts, the most popular ones, which is this 93A HPF and 95A HPF. I don't just have one of each, I have two of each type, so hopefully I'm going to settle down on what formula I like the most. Maybe I'll settle down on, maybe a split, something different in the front and the rear. And this 93A WFB, just from all the riding I've done on it so far, you can see it's pretty well broken in. And that's not necessarily a good thing. You don't exactly want your inserts to be all broken in. You want them to really maintain their shape. I've not been very impressed by this one. I'm getting a lot of chatter, and cornering really doesn't feel pleasant on this one with grippy wheels. It seems like it kind of deviates from the line that I want it to take a little too much. So far I have ridden these the most. It's really the only one I've ridden so far, but I didn't do any comparative testing. I don't know how it stands up to the others. I have been impressed by how they felt, but there's still more testing to be done to really know the differences. So to start, we're going to put in this WFB, the ones I've been running for the entirety of the summer and the beginning of these fall months. One thing that I cannot stress enough is that these inserts are not compatible with most trucks. Seriously, they don't go in your Paris, they don't go in your Caliber, Arsenal, Bear. You may see some trucks that have plug bushings, notably the Calibers and the Bears. Those plug bushings are very different, and they also have a different shape. So don't think you can use like a regular bushing plus an insert to get the same thing as a plug bushing. It doesn't perform that way. It doesn't fit that way. Look at this view. It's pretty neat. Fun thing, around this airfield is a 5-mile loop of a bike path, walking path. It's such a great spot to do some pushing. Get some endurance, teach people how to ride a board for a sustained amount of time. So we're coming off a race weekend here, and I've got on my pretty fresh Quake Killers. That is going to change. We're going to throw on the, where are they? The Cheetahs. All right, there's a little squirreliness in the slide, a little chatter kind of coming out of nowhere. We're gonna move to the 96A WFB and see how that goes. So this is the same urethane formula. There's a different hardness, and then also keep in mind, these are, oh, okay. Yeah, keep in mind that these are practically new, and the ones I'm riding currently are very broken in. So it should be better. Right at the end. 96A is getting higher frequency chatter and more chatter. Whereas a WFB would chatter a bit and then smoothen out and then chatter a bit more. I mean the 93A WFB. 96 is behaving more consistently, but chattering more. May not be desirable. Also, it's a nice looking. It's a relatively cold day. Also very grippy wheels on very, very smooth pavement. So my results may vary in different locations. We're gonna move from the 96A WFB to the 96A APS now. Do 2 more slides. I'm doing an analysis.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
I haven't lost my mind that much. What? A side note about these cheetahs. I mentioned that they have a pretty cheap core in them in my review, but what I failed to explain was that the cheap core isn't just that it's cheap, like it didn't cost them a lot of money. It's actually pretty imprecise. I'm convinced that the bearing faces are not even to each other, because when I set my bearings properly inside them, they don't free spin very well, and that's on bearings that usually free spin really well. And then additionally, when I roll on them at low speed, before the rolling sound and the wind sound gets too great, I can just hear them clicking. And it's slightly frustrating, pay 90 bucks for a wheel and the bearing seats aren't even correct. So these 96A these are the APS. They provide a lot of center to the truck. One thing I'm not testing very much right now is just how they turn, like how they change the overall feel of the truck. I'm just analyzing slide consistency, but they add a lot of center to the truck, and they probably would be my recommendation for free riding of the ones that I've tried so far. Just because center is a really big, important thing in free ride. You want to set up your trucks to have a lot of center. It'll help you out. And the WFB really weren't giving me any center. And frankly, I'd recognize why that was the choice of insert bushing on the stock trucks. It's because they have so little resistance. They have so little rebound. The 93A gives a decent amount of support while also not having much center. So the trucks are really flowy out the box, really smooth turning and leaning. And I really like the stock setup on these, frankly. I liked how they felt. It's just that in slides and cornering, I wasn't convinced that the insert bushing was supporting the hanger properly. So now we're putting in the 93A crank inserts. This is the one I've been skating for the past couple weeks here. I haven't been doing a ton of riding, so I can't say definitively what my opinion on them is or how they're going to compare to the current stuff we've tried so far. But these are going to wrap up my testing for today. I'm going to have to try out the Venom HPF on another day, which kind of sucks, but when you got time constraints, you got things to do. Skating takes a backseat. I'm just thankful I got to try all these out today. Start this analysis. It's one I've been very excited for a while.
There's one. Nope. There's one. All my speed rings are accounted for. I saw someone when we got here.
All right, just as I suspected, the Venom inserts are too big for the Don't Trips. Unfortunately, the Rogue seat that they're designed for is just slightly larger than the Don't Trip seat, and so I can't fit this in there without getting these lips caught and starting to sever them. It really takes too much force, so I'm gonna have to sand these down before I can actually use them. Now I'll give the edges a little bevel. Oh wow, I actually got the seat. Amazing. Huh. You know, I didn't actually expect that to work. Luckily, I was able to get the back one in without any modding. That's nice. So that's just something to keep in mind. You might have to sand them down or give them a bevel. I think I would give them a bevel on the lip first, just kind of knock down that sharp edge on one side. That would be the first thing I'd try, and then the second thing would actually be changing the diameter of the bushing, but it seems like beveling works the best, but fortunately I didn't have to with this one. Alright, after that first run, I can already tell you this is better than all of the Riptide options. Like, I didn't want it to be that way. I didn't want it to like be so swung, so black and white, but holy cow, like, they by far seem to have the strongest center of everything. Actually, the 96A APS may have had more center, but God, you just feel so supported. So the feeling of being supported. And it had by far the best slide as well. I'm convinced that the 95A is gonna be no good. This 93A already feels a little bit too hard, but wow, very impressed. It's better than all the Riptide.
Really?
All of them. I wasn't hoping it was going to be so black and white, but it's so much better than all of them. It is
You
about
think
as
being
rich.
extremely tight?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the problem you noticed with the kingpin slop,
Yeah.
like you could just
Did you
jiggle
see
it.
that difference? It was huge.
Yeah, I mean the venom is tight to the kingpin, very tight. So
What do you have on?
I'm trying out insert bushings today.
Okay.
They go between the two bushings here.
Yeah.
I'm trying out the venom ones.
Nice.
I tried out some of the Riptide ones.
This
I'm doing the venom today. The venom is so much better. Not grab rail form. That's something I'm working on a lot. I'm pretty anxious to skate these 95A inserts. I say anxious, I'm not anxious. Actually, okay, I turned more than I thought I would on them. They're actually more fluid than I expected. I was expecting really restricted terribleness. Actually pretty good. Alright, here we go. yeah, it's true. The 95 is not as bad as I thought. I still did change it up to 93 in the front, 95 in the back. I'm thinking that's going to be a better option here. Already just kind of carving around up top, I think it's better. I still am eagerly awaiting trying out the spherical in the front with bushing in the back. That'll be a cool comparison. Might get a chance to do that today. Yeah, that's the combo. That's the combo. That's it. It's so good. Like, okay, so I did a little bit of the, you know, the little tuck lean exercise you saw me doing in the other videos, you know, lean left, lean right, kind of carve up on my way down. And notably, the APS made that a lot harder. Just the center was so strong with the 96A APS, I didn't feel like it wanted to lean. You saw me take that spill on them. But these are lively. They're so energetic, great rebound. The trucks are, you know, they feel alive and darty, even at these pretty mellow, low speeds. I'm really pleased. I'm glad I took the time to experiment with all these because I didn't know what I was missing. So to summarize each of the insert bushings, the 93A WFB, those stock inserts, they're just not fit for the job unless you're looking for a insert that is going to be as least restrictive as possible. Now I know that's kind of loaded because you could also just get a really, really soft insert, but 93A WFB, it doesn't add rebound to the truck, it doesn't add center to the truck, it's just there. And I also found it kind of wore out fast. It wasn't that great at supporting the hanger in the first place, but it also seemed to warp and deform quicker than I had hoped it would. So yeah, the 96A WFB, pretty similar in the sense that it didn't give the truck much center, it didn't give it much resistance while leaning, I mean, you know, compared to the other ones. But it did manage to support the hanger a little bit more in the slides. I felt that the slides were more consistent, but you know, after riding the other bushings, I'm also not sold on those. I don't think those are the solution. The 96A APS, you saw me fall on that. That added a lot of center to the truck. Yeah, kind of restricted the movement a little bit. It wasn't very reboundy, truly. Like there wasn't a lot of return to center, but it had a strong center. It did restrict the motion a fair amount. And I felt like I had to be more deliberate with my carves and turns. Again, decent, good slide, very similar to the 96A WFB, just with the change in the way that the truck turns. The 93A Krank was the highest rebound. It was the most fun to kind of carve and pump around. That would be my choice for exactly that, carving, pumping, slalom. You know, we're gonna pretend that spherical bearings don't exist for this. That hopefully is going to be another cool video I'll get to kind of mess around with down the line. But yeah, the 93A WFB, I really didn't like the slides with that. I had really sharp hookups and really inconsistent force through the slide. I felt like I was getting a lot of kind of chop, or I don't know, just it didn't feel great to slide. The hookups were really, really hardcore, and it's a bummer because I love the turning from that. And just, you know, it didn't work out. Now, the money makers, the 93A HPF and the 95A HPF, I get it. They're so good. For one, they're tight to the kingpin, which is, I didn't talk about it all, but the inner diameter of the riptide bushings is actually a little bit larger than the diameter of the kingpin, meaning that when you put that insert bushing in there, you start sliding it down to put it in the seat, there's a little bit of wiggle room left and right. That's a red flag. It should be kind of snug to the hanger. You shouldn't be able to wiggle it side to side, because what that means is that's a little bit of unsupported space, where your hanger's gonna slop around a bit. You're gonna get chatter, you're gonna get that hanger, it's got room to vibrate before actually feeling resistance. Yeah, if I have any recommendation to Riptide, you know, directly, like, hey Riptide, just maybe work on the tolerances a little bit to get it to fit the kingpin really snug and fit the, actually the fit in the bushing seat was absolutely fine. I didn't have any issues there. It's just I wish there was some better geometry, a tighter tolerance on that kingpin. I think it could have really helped the Riptide inserts, and that's where the Venom was so much better. It was so snug to the kingpin, and then also you saw me kind of fighting with it to get it to sit in the don't trip insert seat. That is, I don't think you'll have that problem with Rogues. They seem to slide right in with Rogues, but do know that the don't trip seat for the insert bushings is a little bit tighter, a little smaller, so you may have to modify. Again, just bevel it, bevel the bushing just a tiny bit, might make it easier to slide in, and then, you know, last resort, actually sand down the edges all the way around. The 93A was awesome. It was so much better than all the Riptide ones I had tried prior. I was really thrilled with the way it felt. Whoa, Southern, holy moly. I was really thrilled with the way it felt. I felt like I was supported in the cars. I felt like I was so supported in the slides. It was an instant upgrade over all the Riptide things I had tried before. And then the 95A, I expected it to be much more restrictive than it was. I expected it to just be awful. Like I didn't expect to enjoy it. I thought it would kind of compromise the turning of the board too much, but truly it didn't. You know, it restricted it a little bit, but it still was very supportive. I do think that if you are using insert bushings in downhill slalom style setup, the 93A front and 95A rear is the way to go. And if you do any amount of research online, reading blogs, forums, Reddit, I don't know, just any place where people discuss gear at a high level, that seems to be what people are doing. That's the default. They do the 93A front, 95A rear, and I think that works really well. That would be my choice if I had to ride insert bushings. I'm gonna mess around with sphericals. I did test out spherical front, 95A rear, and I did enjoy it. You know, it's a slight decrease in the quality of the slide. I feel like the slide is a little more chatter, a little slightly worse feel from the front truck, but the overall control was, you know, well improved. I think it's worth the trade-off depending on where you are. Again, hopefully I can make a little spherical bearing video, kind of clarify some misconceptions about that. And yeah, I hope this was useful to you. If you're looking to upgrade your setup, definitely get the Venom HPF bushings. I truly do recommend getting the 93 and the 95A. It'd be worth it to have both of them so you can figure out which one you prefer and what scenarios you want to ride it in. For free ride, I did use the 95A front, and I think that improved the quality of the slides a lot, and the reliability of the slides. What is it? The consistency. Yeah, 95A, 95A I think is your best bet for the small truck free ride gang. For more general stuff, for gripping and ripping, the 93A front and 95A rear. And if you're really looking to, you know, get a little experimental, don't be afraid to put your spherical bearing up front, keep that 95A in the rear. I think you'll find you will enjoy it in some places, some scenarios, some other wheels, and you'll hate it in others with certain places, scenarios, wheels. So yeah, that's a lot of talking. If you have any more questions about it, if you think that there's anything I could continue to do to kind of fine tune this, to hone it in, let me know. I'm happy to revisit this. I'm happy to look deeper into it, because at the end of the day, I want to make my setup the best it is, and your prompts can kind of help me get there, and I'll help you get there too. Any questions? Ask them. Any suggestions? Give them. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate you. Goodbye. I'm fucking coordinated when I'm tipped.